I've been hiding a huge secret from everyone in my life for the past 3 years. I pretended to graduate college. I walked across the stage, wore the cap and gown, had the family celebration, took pictures holding a fake diploma cover, the whole thing. But I never actually finished my degree. One semester before graduation, I just cracked. I was burnt out, failing a couple of classes, and too ashamed to tell anyone. So instead of facing it, I faked it. I told my parents everything was on track. I bought a cheap gown online, faked the graduation date, and made sure the ceremony wasn't open to guests due to limited capacity. Since then, I've been working random jobs, telling people I'm between offers or exploring different fields. It's a constant weight on me. I've had panic attacks just thinking about someone finding out. My parents still proudly mention that I'm the first in the family with a degree. I hate lying to them. I hate lying to everyone. I've finally re-enrolled and I'm taking night classes now, slowly fixing the mess I made. But it still feels like I'm living in a lie. I don't know if I'll ever have the guts to tell them what really happened. My fiancé made a split-second decision that has cost me a year of my life, and I'm furious. Too long. Didn't read. My fiancé turned quickly at a blinking yellow light after I told him to wait, and we got T-boned. Everyone else walked away fine, but I ended up with multiple fractures in my spine, tailbone, and sternum, as well as 2 full breaks in my pelvis. I had to undergo surgery, wear a brace that didn't even fit, and was forced to move through unbearable pain. I've lost my independence, my ability to walk, and a year or more of progress I had worked so hard for. I'm angry, grieving the life I was building, and just trying to get through it day by day. So here's the fully story. I, 26F, my fiancé, 30M, and his son, 5Y, were out getting Chipotle on March 14th. On the way home, we reached a busy intersection with a blinking yellow light. My fiancé was driving, and I could tell he was about to go. I saw a car coming fast, and I very clearly told him to wait until the light was green. I don't know if he didn't hear me, didn't take me seriously, or just ignored me, but he kept driving forward anyway, and we got T-boned by a car going 50 miles per hour. Everyone else walked away fine, including his son, thank God, but I was crushed. I ended up with 2 full breaks in my pelvis, 2 fractures in my tailbone, fractures in my L4 and L5 vertebrae, and a fractured sternum. I was, and still am, in so much pain I can't even explain it. I wouldn't wish this kind of pain on anyone. I was rushed to the ER, where everything was a complete blur, except the trauma. I started having intense flashbacks, panic attacks, and nightmares about the crash and the pain. I had to undergo surgery where 2 7-inch steel screws were inserted into my pelvis. At the hospital, they gave me a back brace that was way too big for me. The nurses and PTs even admitted they didn't measure and just guessed my size. Even when we told them it was too big, they didn't do anything about it. And despite this, they expected me to stand up and move around wearing it. That brace did nothing for support. Moving in it felt like my spine and pelvis were being ripped apart. The pain I was in trying to follow their orders to stand and walk was inhumane. All I remember from those days is pain, frustration, fear, and this overwhelming sense of helplessness. After about a week, I was transferred to a physical rehabilitation center. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to bathe. I didn't want to move. I was so depressed and in so much pain that even thinking about shifting in bed made me cry. I had to depend on strangers for the most basic things, going to the bathroom, bathing, even feeding myself. As someone who's always been independent, it was utterly humiliating and devastating. I'm home now, but my recovery is far from over. Doctors and physical therapists all told me the same thing. You have the second worst kind of break anyone can experience. You'll need at least a year to recover, if not longer. You can't put weight on your right leg for 3 months. No bending, no twisting. And even after the 3 months, it'll be a very slow process. And that's the part that's eating me alive. Because before this, I was finally getting my life together. I was working on my health. I was eating right, doing CrossFit regularly, getting stronger and finally meeting people and socializing. I had just gone back to college. I was finally building structure into my life after being recently diagnosed with ADHD. And now, it's all on hold. I can't work out. I can't leave the house unless it's for a doctor's appointment. I can't do anything by myself. And it feels like I lost everything I was working so hard to build. And even though my fiancé has been supportive through all of this and is helping take care of me, I'm so angry at him. I told him. I warned him. I said, don't go. Wait. And when I asked him why he kept going, he just said, I don't know. And that I don't know is now costing me an entire year of my life. Maybe more. And I'm the one who's paying for it every single day. So yeah. I just needed to get this off my chest. I feel trapped in my own body. I feel like I'm grieving the life I could have had this year. I feel angry, sad, helpless, and I'm just trying to make sense of it all. But mostly, I just want my life back. I know this is temporary. I know I'll eventually recover, but losing a year of my life, my sense of normalcy, and my peace of mind is really, really rough. If anyone has any advice on how I can work on this or maybe even share their own experiences similar to this one, I'd greatly appreciate it. Update: I honestly didn't expect my post to receive this much attention. I was just venting my thoughts and emotions in the moment as I'm still going through the stages of grief. Thank you to everyone who took the time to share their thoughts, advice, and support regarding my situation. I want to clear up a few things and provide some additional context, including my fiancé's perspective on why he didn't stop. To start, for those wondering about where the accident happened, since the rules around blinking yellow lights seem to vary depending on the state, city, and even country you're in, it took place in Texas, within the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's all I'll share location-wise for privacy reasons. Next, a lot of people have asked whether my fiancé has shown remorse and how he's been supporting me since the accident. The answer is yes, he's been devastated. He has apologized to me multiple times, at the crash site, in the hospital, during rehab, and at home. He's also been having panic attacks himself as of lately, something that he's never experienced prior to the accident. There was one moment where he called me panicking because he couldn't find his truck keys and desperately wanted to come see me to make sure I'm doing okay. My mom had to drive over to calm him down and help. He also continued to visit me frequently in the hospital and at the rehab center, and he's been advocating for me when I had issues, such as the back brace I was given, which was clearly too large. Side note: despite multiple people from my family, fiancé, and even the PTs mentioning it, the hospital staff didn't replace it. It wasn't until I called the hospital a week later, frustrated, that they finally took action. I had to put on my Karen voice and explain that their failure to properly size the brace was actively hindering my recovery. Eventually, I got a new one in a smaller size. Fun fact: the brace only comes in two sizes, SM and L/XL. I'll let you guess which one they gave me. My fiancé has also been helping me understand the insurance claim process. From what we know, I may be looking at around $100,000. Additionally, at home, he's made sure I have what I need to recover. He just bought me a $300 plus bed frame that moves up and down similarly to the hospital beds I was used to because I can't move up and down as normally without feeling pain or being at risk of re-breaking something. He's also been cooking for me, and for my visiting family, helping me clean up, assisting with daily tasks, and has made it clear he doesn't expect me to lift a finger and only wants me to focus on healing. He's even told me how he's going to halt his plans on expanding his side business so that he can spend more time tending to me during my recovery. With this said, I've seen a lot of comments saying I should leave him or even sue him, calling him arrogant or careless. I can understand those reactions and thoughts. However, looking back at how everything happened, this was an honest mistake that anyone could make at any time of the day at any point of time. Was it a bad mistake? Yes, but nonetheless a simple human error at the end of the day. I'm just angry that it's happened to me, but that is something I will have to work through on my own. With the I don't know reply that he had given me a week earlier, I will admit that he may have been still experiencing shock or trauma when I had initially asked him. At the time when I had brought up the question, his mind seemed to have been drawing a blank. Now that I'm home and some time has gone by, I went ahead and asked him the same question again today. Why didn't you stop when I told you to? He told me he thought the gap between us and the oncoming car was big enough to make it. He didn't realize how close it actually was. He also said he didn't hear me say stop until it was too late, at which point, we were already hit. I told him I said it much earlier, and he admitted he just didn't hear me. In the end, he feels horrible. He's told me that every time he approaches a yellow light while driving now, he can't help but be reminded of what happened that night, and how stupid he feels for not being more cautious. I'm not excusing what happened by any means, but I do believe he's learning from it and taking accountability for everything as best as he can. I'm just the angry, bitter one that is needing to work through my emotions and grief that I'm experiencing because of the accident. That said, I've resumed individual therapy, weekly now instead of monthly, and I had my first session since the accident as of yesterday, and my fiancé and I will be attending couples counseling together. Yes, I plan on staying with him. I know a lot of you are coming from a place of concern and care, and I truly appreciate that. At the same time, I want to gently remind everyone that I'm a real person going through a very real and painful experience. What I shared was raw and vulnerable, not a call to be judged or attacked. It's okay to disagree with how I'm choosing to move forward, but please remember I'm the one living this day by day. Healing, both physical and emotional, isn't linear, and I'm doing the best I can. Thank you again for the overwhelming response. I'm reading as many comments as I can, even if I can't reply to everyone. Please continue to take care of yourselves and those you love. Hold anyone you care about closely to you, because when you least expect it, life can change in an instant. My wife, who's been gaining weight, called the movie WALL-E fatphobic. I was blown away, and asked what she meant. She said it portrayed fat people as lesser than the others. I told her that I very much disagreed and that the characters in the movie literally could not walk around because their bones were deteriorating from their sedentary lifestyles. It honestly makes me nervous for her and her relationship with food and weight. She's about 5 foot 2 inches and works in an office but weighs the same as me, a 6-foot male who works as a welder. And hell, even I could stand to lose 20 pounds. I always try to gently push her towards healthier food options. I refuse to buy her fast food or snacks. I try to get her to come on walks with me, or go play something like bocce ball, or go to the gym with me. A few months before the WALL-E comment, she said that she had given up trying to lose weight and didn't have an actually solid answer for me when I asked why. Despite saying that, she often complains about her weight and her appearance. More than once has she cried into my shoulder because she doesn't like being overweight. She's still gorgeous to me and I tell her that all the time, but I'm not sure how I can help out more. My husband has sexomnia. IDSE, what to do? Throw away because I don't know who will see this. My 25F husband, 30M, suffers from sexomnia. Yes, it's a real thing. It's a sleep disorder where he has sex or does sexual things, usually leading to sex, in his sleep. No, he hasn't been to a doctor about this. We have been together for over 6 years and this has been happening since very early on in the relationship. The first time this happened, I thought he was awake and just felt in the mood shortly after going to bed. After he finished, he was confused, and then I was confused. He thought I was lying about what happened. What happened? He felt for my boobs, and then got on top of me and started kissing me pretty aggressively. Not in a bad way though, I was into it. We ended up having sex. We had pretty high libidos back then, so honestly this wasn't abnormal. What was abnormal was when he didn't remember touching me, getting on top of me, kissing me, and then fucking me. He only woke up after he finished. He didn't remember a thing. He thought maybe I started touching him in his sleep and initiated things. Not the case. I thought he was lying about not remembering. And to be clear, he wasn't mad about it, just confused. After the second or third time, I googled sex in sleep, and got our answers. We talked about consent because he's sleeping. He can't consent but he's initiating it. A lot of weird gray area. He also doesn't wake up easily when this is happening. This has happened 20+ times over the entire course of our relationship. Sometimes it's very sudden where he will be very to the point. He will get on me or grab me and turn me over and fuck me. Yes, I am usually sleeping too. Sometimes it'll be slow. Unbearably slow. So slow that he will barely be touching me but won't stop until I wake up and try to wake him up or move things along. Sometimes if I deter him, he will start again 20 minutes later. Sometimes it comes in waves where it will happen several times in a couple months span and not happen for several months. There are some things that affect it, like how much he drinks, how late it is, and if he's horny before going to bed. I believe these episodes are completely preventable, but not by me. Tonight, he worked until 11 p.m. and probably went to bed shortly after midnight. I was asleep. I woke up around 1:15 a.m. because our almost 2-year-old daughter started crying, so I went to put her back to sleep. When I got back, he was in the middle of the bed sleeping almost in my spot. I tried pushing him away but he wouldn't budge. He started talking, "Who is that?" I responded with my name. He said okay, asking if I was me. Yes, I responded, confused if he was just being goofy, he's a jokester, or if he's talking in his sleep. He usually doesn't talk in his sleep or during these episodes. I tried waking him up to no avail. Suddenly he grabbed me so tightly in an embrace, asking over and over if it was me, like he had found me. I knew he was probably dreaming, so I kept reassuring him it was me for about 2 minutes. One of the best hugs I've ever had, honestly. And then he started humping my leg, still asking if I was me. I was like, oh okay, so he's dreaming and having an episode. Got it. This was a new situation. Until I can gauge the situation, I kind of let things play out his way, even though he has literally no idea it's happening. He got his hand down my pants and naturally things went where they went. He got my pants off, and his shorts down and tried to get in me. Here is where I struggle with the whole thing. If I help him get off, I feel like I'm taking advantage of or violating him. But if I don't help, it could take an hour and then I don't get sleep. He has said countless times that he knows he can't control it, and sometimes he feels bad for me because he knows it affects my sleep. He has given me permission to help the situation along, but it still feels weird because I do get turned on when I'm being touched by my husband, whom I love, even though I know he's asleep. Reader, what would you do? Has anyone else ever experienced this? Maybe I just need reassurance that I'm not doing the wrong thing. Thank you. My mother mentioned removing me from her will. I won't be attending her funeral, and frankly, wholeheartedly, she can die alone on her deathbed for all I care. My mom has done nothing her entire life except stay at home smoking weed and cigarettes, drinking booze, and living off the disability pension because she has stress. She has hardly worked a day in her entire life. Growing up, she never provided me or my brother with any support, help, guidance or anything. She parked us in front of the television and smoked weed all day long, barely ever speaking to us. We had no money to have hobbies and barely ever went out. Any extra money was spent on her drugs. Her only idea of getting people to do things was yelling and screaming. She has no accountability for her actions or pathetic life, and blames everyone else for everything wrong in her life. I can go on forever, but you get the idea. She's a very toxic, pathetic, self-victimizing joke of a human being. I moved out about 5 years ago and have been nothing but nice to her since. Many others would resent their parent and cut off contact with them, but I chose to be nice, giving her phone calls, helping her with things, visiting her, etc. She was given a $1 million plus inheritance on a golden platter since then. Recently, she got into a fight with my brother and mentioned removing us both from her will. Not the first time she's said that. It's made me realize that the only thing she has to offer me is her money. Outside of that, there is literally nothing in the entire world that she has to offer me. She's done a terrible job at being a mother and caused so much stress and anxiety in my life. My life became infinitely better when I was able to stop living with her. So after pondering for a while, I've come to the realization that if she doesn't leave me any inheritance, then I would sincerely, wholeheartedly be glad to never see her ever again. She completely failed at being a mother, gets given $1 million and doesn't want her kids to have any? Imagine spending your whole life doing nothing but abusing your children and making their lives miserable, just to leave them nothing. She can sincerely rot in hell for all I care.